I've known my wife for nearly 9 years. We've been married for almost 5, with our 5th anniversary coming up in May. She was my high school sweetheart. We built our lives around each other, supporting each other through college, career changes, family loss, and all the trials that life throws your way. Never in a million years did I think she would betray me, but here we are. A few months back, I began to notice changes in her behavior. Subtle at first, like more frequent nights out with her friends. It wasn't that she hadn't gone out before. She had, and I always encouraged her to maintain her friendships. But suddenly, these outings were increasing dramatically, and there was something off about them. She'd often leave abruptly, be vague about her plans, or be unreachable for hours. My texts went unanswered, my calls ignored. When I finally got through, she'd give me weak excuses. Her phone died. It was loud. She hadn't heard it ring. Things escalated when she took my car one evening. I didn't think much of it initially until I remembered that my keys had a GPS tracker, something I'd installed after losing my keys more times than I care to admit. Out of curiosity, or perhaps suspicion, I checked it. My heart sank immediately. She wasn't anywhere near the restaurant she told me she was going to. She was at a completely different location, miles away, in front of an apartment complex. When confronted, she laughed it off, said plans had changed, and accused me of being paranoid. She agreed, somewhat reluctantly, to couples therapy. But even there, she adamantly denied any wrongdoing. I struggled with my instincts versus my trust in her. She'd always been honest, but her secrecy continued to gnaw at me. Finally, the opportunity to learn the truth presented itself. One night, she left her phone unattended while taking a shower. I unlocked her phone. There were explicit texts and nude pictures exchanged with some guy she'd met on a dating app. I confronted her immediately. Perhaps not my wisest move, but emotions took over. She broke down crying, but all I could hear was the ringing betrayal in my ears. She swore up and down they'd never met in person, that it was just attention she craved. But how could I possibly believe that? I managed to snap pictures of the text for evidence. It still kills me that this was happening just 1 week before our 5th wedding anniversary. Almost a decade together, shattered in moments. I feel incredibly foolish for missing so many signs earlier. Years ago, she had accused someone else of similar behavior, lying and covering things up. I now realize it was probably projection. We admittedly weren't as intimate as when we first married. I'm in my late 30s and regularly working long days running my business. The spark wasn't always vibrant, but it was there. We still had a healthy relationship, at least from my perspective. Clearly, I was living in denial or ignorance. After talking to a lawyer, I've decided to proceed with divorce. I have zero tolerance for infidelity. I deserve better, and I'm finally seeing my worth clearly. Thankfully, alcohol or drugs aren't issues for either of us. Small mercies in an otherwise disastrous situation. I've spent my life trying to build something stable and loving, and I will not let someone who disrespects me so casually drag me down. I got tested for STDs too, just to be safe. That's where we are. Update 1. My D-Day was in April. That's when everything came to a head. A few days after discovering the messages, she came clean, or at least more clean than she'd been. She admitted that it wasn't just online flirting. She had met him and was having a physical affair as well, for 9 months. 9 months. While I was busting my ass every day trying to keep our lives afloat, she was sneaking off to hook up with someone. They'd go to lunch, then sometimes they'd leave their workplaces early for drinks. Just drinks, or so she claimed. I felt physically sick when I heard it, like my entire life had been turned upside down. She even told me the meetup started after a happy hour where they talked for hours. I moved out on June 1st, rented a 1-bedroom apartment on the other side of town, and poured every ounce of energy into making it feel like mine. I've dropped more money than I care to admit at IKEA. Built my own workspace, put together furniture with my bare hands while blasting music and trying to ignore the ringing in my ears. I got a dog. His name's Rex. He's a rescue and already more loyal than she ever was. Walks with him in the evening became my peace. Just me, the wind, and a leash. I forgot what silence felt like. I've also been going to therapy. That's been a godsend. It's helped me unpack a lot of guilt and shame I've been carrying. Helped me focus on rebuilding myself. It's a shitty situation, no denying that, but I'm starting to feel okay. Not happy, not over it, but okay. And I'll take that over despair any day. But I'm confused. She seems miserable. Every time we've had to meet up for logistics, sorting out bills, exchanging stuff, talking about next steps, she's been morose, depressed. She looks like a ghost of herself. And while part of me pities her, another part of me's just furious. Like, what the actual hell did you expect? She spent 9 months making choice after choice that put her wants and needs above everything else. Did she really think there'd be no consequences? Did she think I'd just turn a blind eye and keep playing house? And now she's shocked that people in her life are pulling away. Her BFF stopped talking to her, saying she needed a break from her drama. And somehow that surprised her. Like, oh no, people don't want to hang out with a person who blew up a marriage with lies and deceit. Who would have guessed? The entitlement is wild. Final update, 1 year later. It's been just over a year since everything came crashing down. I've rebuilt a lot since then, emotionally, mentally, physically. I got a place that feels like home. My dog, Rex, is still my constant shadow. I've reconnected with old friends, picked up new hobbies, and I even started cooking again. There's days where I forget what it felt like to be betrayed, and that's a gift I never thought I'd get. Then, on Monday, I got a call from her. It was around noon. I almost didn't pick up. Her name flashing on the screen made my stomach twist, like a ghost knocking at the door. But curiosity won, and I answered. Her voice was quiet, unsure. She asked how I was, asked about Rex, asked if I was seeing anyone. She sounded nostalgic, like someone flipping through a scrapbook they didn't realize they'd burned. She told me she missed me, that she hadn't found anyone since who understood her like I did, that dating had been brutal, full of shallow conversations and letdowns. She said she kept comparing everyone to me, and I listened because I needed to hear it. Not the words, but the emptiness behind them. There was no apology, no real accountability, just loneliness masquerading as regret. I didn't bother asking what happened with the dude she was sneaking behind me for 9 months. Guess that fizzled out. She tried to paint our past in warm colors, brought up our vacations, the inside jokes, the quiet mornings. She reminded me how I used to leave her notes, how I'd warm up the car on cold mornings, how I'd send her songs in the middle of the day just because. But here's the thing. None of that matters because she still betrayed me in the coldest way possible. She destroyed something real for something temporary, for a thrill, for attention, for an ego boost. And even now, when she's alone and clearly longing for the stability she had, she still can't say, "I'm sorry." What she wanted was reassurance that I didn't hate her, that someone still saw value in her. But I'm not her safety net. I'm not her fallback plan. I was her husband, and she made her choice. I told her I hoped she was taking care of herself. I wished her well, and then I ended the call. When I hung up, I felt lighter. Not because she wanted me back, but because I didn't want her. Not anymore. Not even a little. That's how I knew I'd healed. Not out of spite, not out of pride, but because my peace matters more than nostalgia. I've dated since the divorce. Nothing serious, but enough to know that love still exists. Trust is harder, but I'll get there at my own pace. To anyone in the thick of this, I know the nights are long and the silence is loud. I know how often you replay every lie, every look, every missed sign, but I promise the day will come when you wake up and you don't think about them first thing. The day will come when their name no longer stings. And maybe, like me, one day you'll get a phone call that reminds you how far you've come. Hold the line. Protect your heart. You are not alone. It gets better, truly. Now some comments. You did everything right. Therapy, moving out, rebuilding, not stooping to her level. That last update hit hard because I've been there. They always call eventually when reality hits. But you already crossed that bridge and left the ashes behind. Cheers to you, brother. You earned your peace. No one's defending cheating, but maybe if you'd been that emotionally open and expressive during the marriage instead of after, things wouldn't have gotten so bad. Just saying, it's easy to seem like the perfect partner once you've already left. There's something deeply powerful about the way you handled this, man. I've been through betrayal too, and while the pain is universal, the way we choose to respond defines who we become after it. You didn't just survive what she did to you. You stood in the middle of that wreckage, acknowledged the pain, and still chose peace. Most people lash out or get stuck in bitterness, but you didn't let her drag you down with her. You built something new, not just a place to live, but a life that was yours alone. That final phone call, it's poetic, really. They always reach out when the silence gets too loud, when Then the fantasy falls apart and reality creeps back in. And you didn't gloat or get petty. You just let her talk, and then you let her go. That's strength. Not the loud, aggressive kind, but the quiet kind that comes from knowing you no longer need validation from the person who broke you. Keep going. You're already ahead.